Commander Veltara stood on the bridge of the Starship Harmony's call and watched her homeworld burn. The great cities of Zenthar Prime glowed like dying embers below, their crystal spires melting under streams of acid fire. She could see the dark shapes of Kethvar bioships moving through the smoke, hunting down the last survivors. Her hands shook as she gripped the command rail. In 3 days, the Kethvar had destroyed what took her people 10,000 years to build. Their weapons cut through Zenthari shields like water. Their soldiers adapted to every defense. Nothing could stop them. "Commander, we are the last ship," said Navigation Officer Kethamal from his station. His voice was quiet and broken. "All other vessels have been destroyed or captured." Veltara closed her eyes. The Zenthari Federation had once spread across 12 star systems. They had built beautiful cities and peaceful colonies. They had created art and music and poetry. They had never hurt anyone. They had never even built weapons until the Kethvar came. And now they were dying. "How many escaped?" "In the evacuation pods?" she asked. "Maybe 2,000, Kethmal replied. "From a population of 8 billion. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of dying systems. Their ship was damaged and running out of power. Soon the Kethvar would find them too. Veltara walked to Wai, the communication station. Her science officer looked up at her with large, sad eyes. "Is there anything we can do, Commander?" She stared at the controls for a long moment. Then she remembered something from the old archives. Deep in the ruins of the first Zenthari city, archaeologists had found strange metal plates covered in symbols. The symbols told of other worlds, other stars, other thinking beings somewhere in the vast darkness of space. The Federation had built the Deep Void transmitter based on those ancient designs. It could send messages across huge distances, even to other dimensions, but they had never used it. They had never found anyone else out there. "Activate the Deep Void transmitter," Veltara said quietly. Her science officer stared at her. "Commander, that device is experimental. We do not know if it works. We do not even know if anyone is listening." "Then we will find out," Veltara said. She turned to face her crew. "Gather everything. Our language files, our history, our star maps, all of it. If we are going to die, then someone should know we existed." The crew worked quickly. They loaded their entire cultural database into the transmitter. Stories of their people, records of their cities, pictures of their families. Everything that made them who they were. As they worked, the Kethvar ships grew closer. Veltara could see their twisted forms on the scanner. They looked like giant insects made of metal and flesh. Their hulls pulsed with veins of green light. Acid dripped from their weapon ports. "Transmitter is ready, Commander," the science officer reported. Veltara took a deep breath. She had to believe that somewhere in the darkness between stars someone was listening. Someone who might care that an entire civilization was about to disappear forever. She began to record her message. "This is Commander Veltara of the Zenthari Federation. If anyone receives this signal, please know that we tried to live in peace. We never harmed anyone. We only wanted to grow and learn and create beautiful things." She paused as explosions lit up the space around them. The Kethvar were getting closer. "Our enemies call themselves the Kethvar. They consume everything in their path. They turn our worlds into breeding grounds for their young. They cannot be reasoned with. They cannot be stopped. In 6 months they have destroyed 12 star systems." Another explosion, closer this time. The ship shook. "I am sending you everything we know about them. Their weapons, their tactics, their biology. Maybe someone else can succeed where we failed. Maybe someone else can stop them before they spread to other parts of the galaxy." The lights on the bridge flickered. Warning alarms began to sound. "If anyone is listening, please remember us. Remember that we existed. Remember that we tried to be good. Remember that we sent this message not to save ourselves, but to warn others." Veltara's voice broke slightly. "We are the last ship of the last fleet of the last world. In a few minutes we will be gone. But if you receive this message, you still have time. You can still fight, you can still survive." She looked around at her crew. They were all young. They should have had long lives ahead of them. Instead, they would die in the next few minutes. "This is our final gift to the universe. Everything we were, everything we knew, everything we learned. Use it well. Make it count. She nodded to her science officer. Send it. Send everything. The deep void transmitter activated with a deep thrumming sound that seemed to shake the fabric of space itself. Energy poured from their dying ship and shot out into the darkness between dimensions. The message raced across impossible distances, carrying with it the last words of a dying civilization. As the transmission finished, Kethvar fighters surrounded their ship. Veltara stood straight and faced the main screen as the alien weapons charged up. "Did anyone hear us?" she whispered. The answer came 300 light-years away, on a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star. Dr. Sarah Martinez was working the night shift at the Deep Space Monitoring Station when every alarm in the building went off at once. Computer screens filled with data. Translation programs started working frantically to decode an impossible signal. She stared at the first translated words that appeared on her screen. "This is Commander Veltara of the Zenthari Federation. If anyone receives this signal, please know that we tried to live in peace." Sarah's hands began to shake as she read further. First contact. But not the kind humanity had dreamed of. This was a death cry from across the stars. She reached for the emergency phone that connected directly to Earth's Defense Council. "Sir," she said, when the line connected. "We just received a message from space. They're dying. They need help. And sir, we're not alone anymore." Dr. Sarah Martinez ran through the corridors of the Global Defense Council building. Her shoes echoed on the polished floors as emergency lights flashed overhead. In her hands, she carried a data pad containing the most important information in human history. The council chamber was already full when she arrived. Admiral Chen sat at the head of the long table, her gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. Around her sat the leaders of Earth's military forces. Their faces were serious and tired. Most of them had been woken up in the middle of the night. "Show us what you found," Admiral Chen said without waiting for greetings. Sarah connected her data pad to the main screen. The translated message from Commander Veltara began to play. The room fell silent as they listened to the desperate words of a dying alien commander. When the message ended, nobody spoke for a long time. "How long ago was this sent?" asked General Morrison, head of the Space Marines. "Based on the signal analysis, about 6 hours ago," Sarah replied. "But it traveled through different dimensions to reach us. We think it took months to get here." Admiral Chen leaned forward. "Which means the Zenthari Federation might already be completely destroyed." "Yes, ma'am," Sarah said quietly, "but the message contains their complete database, language files, star charts, technical specifications, everything they knew about themselves and their enemies." Colonel Wang, the intelligence chief, was studying his tablet. "These Kethvar creatures sound dangerous. Their technology is clearly advanced. They can adapt to weapons and defenses quickly." "How far away are they?" Admiral Chen asked. Sarah brought up a star chart on the main screen. "The Zenthari territories are about 300 light-years from Earth. If these Kethvar continue expanding at the same rate, they could reach human space in 50 to 70 years. The room erupted in worried whispers. 50 years seemed like a long time, but everyone knew how fast alien invasions could move once they started. Admiral Chen stood up. "Gentlemen, ladies, we face a choice. We can prepare our defenses and hope these creatures never find us, or we can go help whatever Zenthari survivors might still be alive." General Morrison frowned. "Admiral, with respect, we have never fought aliens before. We do not know their capabilities. Rushing into a war zone could be suicide, and letting an entire civilization die while we hide might be cowardice." Admiral Chen replied sharply. Dr. Emily Foster, head of the Xenobiology Department, raised her hand. "I have been studying the biological data about both species. The Zenthari are peaceful herbivores. They evolved on a quiet world with few predators. They have advanced technology but almost no weapons." She paused and looked around the room. "The Kethvar are different. They are aggressive predators, but they evolved in a stable environment. They rely on adaptation and superior numbers. What about humans? Admiral Chen asked. Dr. Foster smiled grimly. Humans evolved on what the Zenthari would call a death world. Earth has ice ages, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, hurricanes, and thousands of predator species. We learned to fight everything, including each other. We are probably the most dangerous species any of them have ever encountered. Colonel Wang nodded slowly. Our weapons are designed to kill other humans. Humans who wear armor and hide in bunkers and fight back. These aliens might not be ready for that level of violence. Admiral Chen walked to the window and looked out at the lights of the city below. The Zenthari sent us everything they had, their culture, their history, their knowledge. They did this knowing they would probably die. They wanted someone to remember them. She turned back to face the council. I say we honor that sacrifice. I say we go help them. The vote was unanimous. Within hours, Earth transformed into a giant war machine. Every shipyard in the solar system received new orders. Every military base went to maximum alert. The sleeping fleet began to wake up. Captain Marcus Torres was inspecting his ship when the orders came through. The UES Indomitable was humanity's newest dreadnought, bristling with railguns and missile pods. It had been built to fight other human ships in case of civil war. Now it would face aliens. Sir, his communication officer called out, we are receiving new orders from Earth Command. Marcus read the message on his tablet. He was being given command of the first contact fleet, 12 dreadnoughts, 30 cruisers, and 60 destroyers. The largest military force humanity had ever assembled, but they were not going as explorers or diplomats. They were going as warriors. In the asteroid belt, mining ships stopped collecting ore and started building ammunition. The factories on Mars switched from making civilian goods to producing weapons. Every human colony received orders to prepare for war. Dr. Foster worked around the clock with her team, analyzing Zenthari technology. The aliens had energy shields, faster-than-light travel, and medical technology far beyond human capabilities. But their weapons were designed for defense, not attack. Look at this, she told Admiral Chen during a briefing. Zenthari weapons are meant to disable, not destroy. They use stunning beams and energy nets. They try to capture their enemies alive. That explains why they lost so quickly, Admiral Chen replied. You cannot fight a war with stunning beams. Meanwhile, the weapons factories were producing something very different. Human weapons were designed for one purpose: to kill efficiently. Railguns that could punch through thick armor, missiles that could destroy entire buildings, plasma cannons that could melt through spaceship hulls. The Exodus fleet, humanity's deep space exploration force, received emergency recall orders. Ships that had been traveling toward distant stars for decades turned around and headed home. Every human vessel in space was called back to join the war effort. Captain Torres stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and watched as the fleet assembled. 102 warships hanging in space around Earth. Each one carried weapons that could destroy a city. Each one was crewed by humans who had trained their entire lives for war. Sir, his navigation officer reported, all ships report ready for departure. Marcus looked at the star charts showing the route to Zenthari space. It would take them 8 months to get there, even using the new faster-than-light drives built from alien specifications. Signal the fleet, he ordered. Set course for the Zenthari Federation. Maximum speed. As the human fleet jumped into hyperspace, Earth's leaders gathered to watch them go. They had made their choice. Humanity would not hide while others suffered. But as the ships disappeared into the darkness between stars, Admiral Chen wondered what they would find when they arrived. Would there be any Zenthari left to save? And if they found the Kethvar, would human weapons be enough to stop them? In 8 months, they would have their answers. Captain Marcus Torres stared at the main screen of the UES Indomitable as his fleet dropped out of hyperspace. What he saw made his stomach turn cold. The Zenthari star system was dead, where there should have been green and blue planets he found. Gray rocks covered in strange, pulsing structures. The orbital cities that the Zenthari data files had shown were gone. In their place, Massive organic ships hung in space like sleeping monsters. "My God," whispered his navigation officer. "What happened here?" Marcus studied the scanner readings. The HFY strip mined everything. They took all the metal and minerals and left the planets as empty shells. Commander Sarah Kim, his tactical officer, looked up from her station. "Sir, I am detecting life signs on the fourth planet. Faint, but definitely there." "Zenthari?" Marcus asked. "Unknown. The readings are coming from underground bunkers, heavily shielded." Marcus made his decision quickly. "Signal the fleet. Maintain formation, but stay alert. We are going to investigate those life signs." As the human ships moved toward the fourth planet, their sensors detected movement. 3 HFY bioships were rising from the planet's surface. They looked like giant insects made of metal and flesh, with wings that sparkled with energy fields. "Sir," Commander Kim reported, "the alien ships are changing course. They are heading straight for us." Marcus had studied the Zenthari combat recordings for months during the journey. He knew how these battles usually went. The HFY would fire their acid weapons, dissolve the enemy shields, then board the ships and capture the crew for their breeding experiments. But human ships were different. "All vessels, battle stations," Marcus ordered into his communicator. "This is not a drill. We are about to make first contact with hostile aliens." The HFY ships opened fire first. Streams of green acid shot across space toward the human fleet. Marcus watched the deadly weapons approach and felt strangely calm. "Evasive maneuvers," he ordered. "Return fire with all weapons." The human ships scattered like a pack of wolves. They were smaller and faster than the HFY bioships. Their engines burned bright blue as they dodged the acid streams. Then the human weapons spoke. Railgun slugs traveling at incredible speeds slammed into the first HFY ship. The aliens' bio-armor, which had easily stopped Zenthari energy weapons, cracked and split open. Green blood sprayed into space. "Direct hit on Target 1, Commander Kim reported with excitement in her voice. "Their armor is not designed for kinetic weapons." The second HFY ship tried to adapt. Its hull began to shift and change, growing thicker plates to stop the railgun fire. But the humans had more than one type of weapon. "Fire missiles," Marcus ordered. 20 fusion warheads streaked toward the alien ship. The HFY tried to shoot them down with acid streams, but the missiles were too fast and too many. They exploded against the bioship's hull in brilliant flashes of nuclear fire. The alien ship died screaming. Its biohull burned and melted as it spun out of control. The third HFY ship turned to run, but the human destroyers were already moving to cut off its escape. They surrounded the alien vessel like sharks around wounded prey. "Sir," the communication officer called out. "We are receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. It is in Zenthari language." "Put it through," Marcus ordered. A weak voice filled the bridge. "Unknown ships. This is Commander Veltara of the Zenthari Federation. Are you the ones who received our message?" Marcus felt his heart jump. Commander Veltara was alive. The alien who had sent the desperate signal into space had somehow survived. "Commander Veltara, this is Captain Marcus Torres of the human fleet. We received your message. We came to help." There was a long pause. Then Veltara's voice came back, filled with wonder. "Humans? You came from so far away. Why would you risk your lives for strangers?" Marcus looked around his bridge at his crew. They were all focused on their duties, preparing to fight more aliens if necessary. "Because that is what humans do," he said simply. The battle for the planet took 3 hours. More HFY ships rose from the surface to attack the human fleet. Each time the aliens tried new tactics and adaptations. Each time, the humans found new ways to kill them. The HFY quickly learned that human weapons were different from anything they had faced before. Energy shields that stopped laser beams were useless against metal slugs fired at incredible speeds. Bio-armor that could adapt to heat was helpless against fusion explosions. But it was not just the weapons that made humans dangerous. It was how they fought. The Zenthari had fought defensively, trying to protect their ships and minimize casualties. The humans fought like predators. They took risks. They set traps. They chased damaged enemy ships and finished them off instead. of letting them escape. When HFY fighters tried to board human ships, they found corridors filled with armed marines and powered armor. The aliens were used to fighting peaceful herbivores. They were not prepared for humans who had spent thousands of years learning to kill each other. After the last HFY ship was destroyed, Marcus led a landing party to the planet's surface. They found Commander Veltara and 2,000 Xanthari survivors hiding in deep underground bunkers. When Veltara first saw Marcus, she stepped back in fear. Humans were taller and more muscular than Xanthari. Their eyes pointed forward like predators. Their teeth were designed for eating meat. But Marcus removed his helmet and smiled. "Commander, we got your message. Sorry it took us so long to get here." Veltara stared at him for a moment. Then she began to cry. "I thought we were the last. I thought everyone was dead." "Not anymore," Marcus said. "We are here now, and we are going to help you take back your worlds." That night, as human engineers worked to repair the Xanthari bunkers and human doctors treated the wounded survivors, Veltara stood with Marcus on the surface of her ruined world. "Your people fight differently than we do," she said quietly. Marcus nodded. "We come from a dangerous world. We had to learn to be dangerous ourselves." Are all humans like this? Marcus thought about Earth and its long history of wars and conflicts. Most of us, yes, but we choose when to fight and who to fight for. Veltara looked up at the stars where the human fleet hung in orbit, guarding her people. "The galaxy is not ready for your species." "Then it is a good thing we are on your side," Marcus replied. As dawn broke over the damaged planet, the survivors began to hope again. The humans had kept their promise. They had come to help. And now the HFY would learn what happened when they threatened something humans had decided to protect. News of the human victory spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. In the peaceful cities of distant worlds, alien species gathered around communication screens to watch recordings of the battle. They saw human ships moving like hunting animals. They saw weapons that destroyed instead of disabled. They saw soldiers who fought without fear. The Altarian Council, a group of wise aliens who had lived for thousands of years, met in emergency session. Elder Korvash, whose people had been spacefaring for 10 millennia, spoke with a trembling voice. "These humans fight like nothing we have ever seen. They do not try to capture enemies. They do not seek to minimize damage. They simply destroy everything that threatens them." Elder Yilana, whose crystal-based people communicated through light patterns, flickered nervously. The recordings show them pursuing damaged HFY ships. They hunt down fleeing enemies and kill them. This is not how civilized beings wage war. "Perhaps," said Elder Korvash quietly. "That is why they won." Meanwhile, in the Xanthari system, Admiral Chen had arrived with the main human fleet. She stood in the command center that her engineers had built from the ruins of a Xanthari city. Around her, holographic displays showed the entire galaxy. Red dots marked HFY territories. Blue dots showed human positions. Yellow dots indicated friendly alien worlds. "Admiral," reported Colonel Martinez, head of intelligence, "we have established contact with 16 different alien species. All of them want to know the same thing. They want to know if we are going to attack them next." Admiral Chen studied the galaxy map. The HFY controlled nearly a quarter of all known space. They had destroyed dozens of civilizations. Yet the surviving aliens seemed more afraid of humans than of the creatures that had been killing them for years. "What did you tell them?" she asked. "The truth. We told them we are here to fight the HFY, not them. But I do not think they believe us." Admiral Chen nodded. She had read the reports from the xenopsychology teams. Most alien species in the galaxy were peaceful. They had evolved on stable worlds where cooperation was more important than competition. The idea of a species that enjoyed fighting was completely foreign to them. Commander Veltara entered the command center carrying a datapad. Over the past month, she had been working closely with human military planners. The experience had changed her in ways she was still trying to understand. "Admiral Chen," she said, "the HFY fleet is moving toward the Rigel system. If they capture it, they will have access to the industrial centers of the Vegan Alliance. Admiral Chen looked at the strategic display. The Rigel system was 3 weeks away at maximum speed. How many ships? 200 bioships, plus support vessels. It is their largest fleet. And how many Vegan defenders? Veltara's expression grew sad. 50 ships, all designed for exploration and transport. The Vegans have never built weapons of war. Admiral Chen made her decision quickly. Signal the fleet. We are moving to intercept the Kethvar before they reach Rigel. As the human warships prepared to depart, Veltara watched the activity with fascination and horror. Human soldiers loaded weapons that could kill thousands. Human engineers prepared bombs that could destroy entire cities. Human doctors studied Kethvar biology to find new ways to hurt them. Does this not trouble you? She asked Admiral Chen. All this preparation for death and destruction? Admiral Chen paused in her work. Commander, my people have a saying. We do not love war, but we are very good at it. Sometimes being good at something terrible is the only way to protect something beautiful. The battle for the Rigel system lasted 6 days. The human fleet arrived just as the Kethvar attack began. What followed was unlike any space battle in galactic history. The humans did not fight a defensive action. Instead, they split their fleet into small hunting groups and attacked the Kethvar from all directions at once. They used the asteroids and moons as cover. They set traps using fake distress signals. They even captured Kethvar ships and turned their own weapons against them. Captain Torres led one of the hunting groups in a daring raid on a Kethvar breeding ship. His Marines fought their way through corridors filled with alien larvae and biomechanical defenses. When they reached the ship's core, they discovered something that made them all feel sick. The breeding chambers were full of captured aliens from a dozen different species. The Kethvar were using them to create hybrid soldiers. The prisoners begged for help in languages the humans did not understand, but the meaning was clear. Torres gave the order to destroy the ship with all hands. It was not a decision he made lightly, but leaving the prisoners to suffer was worse than giving them a quick death. The Kethvar had never faced an enemy like this before. Their bioships were designed to adapt to energy weapons and defensive tactics, but human weapons kept changing. Railguns became plasma cannons, missiles became minefields, nuclear warheads became antimatter bombs. More importantly, human tactics kept evolving too. The Kethvar would adapt to one strategy, only to find that the humans had already moved on to something completely different. Dr. Foster, working from a laboratory ship, made a breakthrough on the 4th day of battle. She had been studying captured Kethvar biotissue and discovered something amazing. Admiral, she reported over the communication system, I know how to hurt them. Really hurt them. She had created a virus specifically designed to attack Kethvar nervous systems. It would not kill them immediately, but it would cause their bioships to malfunction and their soldiers to become confused and weak. How do we deploy it? Admiral Chen asked. We need to get it into their breeding pools. The virus will spread through their biological network. That night, human special forces teams launched a series of suicide missions. They used small, fast ships to penetrate deep into Kethvar territory. Many of them did not come back, but they succeeded in contaminating 6 major breeding centers. Within hours, Kethvar ships began to malfunction. Their biohulls developed infections. Their weapons misfired. Their coordination broke down. The human fleet pressed their advantage. They destroyed the confused and weakened Kethvar ships one by one. The aliens tried to retreat, but the humans followed them. They chased the fleeing bioships across 3 star systems, destroying them all. When the battle was over, the Vegan Alliance sent a message of thanks. But the tone was strange. The peaceful plant-based aliens were grateful to be saved, but they were also terrified of their saviors. Thank you for protecting us, the message said. But please do not stay in our system longer than necessary. Admiral Chen read the message and felt a deep sadness. She understood their fear. Humans were good at war because they came from a world where everything tried to kill everything else. But that same nature that made them effective warriors also made them frightening to peaceful species. Commander Veltara found her later, sitting alone in her quarters. The other species fear us, Admiral Chen said without looking up. Yes, Veltara replied. But they also need you. Before humans came, we were all helpless against the Kethvar. Now we have hope. At what cost? We have become the monsters that fight monsters. Veltara sat down beside her. Admiral, I have watched your people for weeks now. Yes, you are dangerous. Yes, you are violent. But you chose to use that violence to protect others. That makes you heroes, not monsters. Outside the window, human warships patrolled the empty space where the Kethvar fleet had been destroyed. The galaxy was a little bit safer tonight because of what they had done, but Admiral Chen wondered how long it would be before the other species decided that humans were more dangerous than the creatures they had come to fight. The final battle took place in the heart of Kethvar space, around a massive biostructure that pulsed with sickly green light. The Queen Mind was the size of a small moon, covered in organic towers and breeding chambers. From this central hub, the Kethvar had controlled their entire empire for thousands of years. Captain Torres stood on the bridge of the Indomitable as the human fleet approached. Around him, holographic displays showed the last Kethvar forces gathering to defend their home. 300 bioships surrounded the Queen Mind like antibodies protecting a vital organ. Sir, reported Commander Kim, we are detecting massive energy readings from the central structure. Whatever it is more than just a command center. Admiral Chen's voice crackled over the communication system from her flagship. All vessels, this is our final push. Intelligence reports indicate the Queen Mind contains the genetic templates for the entire Kethvar species. If we destroy it, we end this war forever. Torres felt a strange mixture of excitement and dread. They were about to commit genocide, the complete extinction of an entire species. On Earth, such an act would be considered the ultimate evil. But these were not humans they were destroying. These were the creatures that had killed billions of innocent aliens. The battle began with the largest missile barrage in galactic history. Every human ship fired everything they had at the Kethvar defenders. The space around the Queen Mind filled with nuclear fire and plasma explosions. Bioships died by the dozens, their hulls cracking and bleeding into the void. But the Kethvar fought back with desperate fury. They knew this was their last stand. Biofighters swarmed around human ships like angry insects. Acid weapons melted through armor plating. Several human vessels were boarded and destroyed from within. Torres led a strike team toward the Queen Mind itself. Their mission was to penetrate the massive structure and plant antimatter charges in its core. It was a suicide mission, but someone had to do it. As they flew through the organic tunnels inside the Queen Mind, Torres began to understand what they were really destroying. The walls were lined with memory banks containing millions of years of Kethvar history. Art galleries displayed sculptures made from the bones of conquered enemies. Libraries held the genetic codes of every species the Kethvar had encountered. "Captain," called out Sergeant Williams, his demolition expert, "these readings are strange. This is not just a command center. It is like a giant brain." They reached the central chamber and found something that made them all stop in shock. The Queen Mind was not a building or a ship. It was a living creature, a massive alien intelligence that filled the entire space with pulsing neural tissue, and it was trying to communicate. Lights flickered in patterns across the organic walls. Sounds echoed through the chamber in rhythms that almost seemed like language. Torres activated his universal translator and waited as the device tried to make sense of the alien signals. Slowly, words began to form on his display screen. "Why do you destroy us?" the Queen Mind asked. "We only sought to survive." Torres stared at the words for a long moment. Then he activated his communicator. "We destroy you because you destroy others. You have killed billions of innocent beings." "Innocent?" The Queen Mind's response came faster now, as if it was learning to use the translator. "There are no innocent beings in this universe. There are only predators and prey, the strong and the weak, those who survive and those who die. The Zenthari were peaceful. They never hurt anyone. The Zenthari were weak. They would have died eventually anyway. We simply made their death serve a purpose. Their genetic material will help us survive what is coming." Torres felt confused. What is coming? The chamber around them began to shift and change. The walls became transparent, revealing images that made Torres's blood run cold. He saw creatures made of pure darkness moving between the stars. He saw entire galaxies being consumed by things that should not exist. He saw horrors beyond human imagination. "We are not the first," the Queen Mind explained. "Others came before us, others who fled from the things that live in the spaces between realities. The Kethvar were once peaceful too, until the Void Hunters found our home dimension." Torres watched the images with growing horror. The Void Hunters were creatures of pure entropy. They did not conquer worlds or enslave populations. They simply erased everything they touched from existence. "The Kethvar escaped to this reality," the Queen Mind continued. "But the Hunters will follow eventually. They always follow. We have been preparing, building an army, strengthening ourselves for the war that is coming. By destroying peaceful civilizations, by doing what must be done to survive. Your species understands this. You have made yourselves into perfect killers. You fight with more violence and creativity than any species we have encountered. This is why we fear you." Torres realized the terrible truth. The Kethvar were not evil monsters, they were refugees, survivors who had been forced to become monsters by something even worse. But that did not change what they had done. "You still killed billions of innocent people," he said. "And you are about to kill billions of us," the Queen Mind replied. "How are we different?" Torres thought about all the alien species the humans had saved. The Zenthari survivors who could now rebuild their civilization. The Vegan Alliance worlds that were safe from invasion. The countless other peaceful beings who could continue to live and grow and create beautiful things. "We are different because we choose who to protect," he said finally. "You chose to sacrifice others for your own survival. We chose to sacrifice ourselves for others' survival." The Queen Mind was silent for a long moment. Then it spoke again, and Torres could hear something like sadness in its artificial voice. "Perhaps that is why the universe sent you to stop us. Perhaps that is why predators like you evolved on a death world, to fight predators like us." Sergeant Williams looked up from his work. "Charges are set, Captain. We need to leave now." Torres took one last look around the chamber. "Will the Void Hunters really come?" "Yes," the Queen Mind said, "but not for many years. You have time to prepare, time to become what the galaxy needs you to be." "And what is that?" "Guardians, protectors, the monsters who fight monsters so that others do not have to." Torres and his team escaped just as the antimatter charges detonated. The Queen Mind died in a flash of pure energy that could be seen from orbit. With it died the last organized resistance of the Kethvar Empire. In the months that followed, the galaxy began to change. The peaceful species formed a new alliance with humanity at its center. They called it the Terran Protectorate. The aliens provided technology and knowledge. The humans provided the one thing the galaxy had always lacked, the will and ability to fight for what was right. Admiral Chen established new military bases throughout the galaxy. Human warships patrolled trade routes and protected peaceful worlds. Human scientists worked with alien researchers to develop new weapons and defenses. Most importantly, Earth began construction of a massive sensor network designed to watch the spaces between realities. If the Void Hunters ever came, humanity would be ready. Commander Veltara, now serving as the first alien ambassador to Earth, stood with Admiral Chen on the observation deck of the new orbital command station. Below them, the blue and green world of humanity turned slowly in space. "Your people still frighten the other species," Veltara said. "I know," Admiral Chen replied, "but they trust us now. They know we will fight for them." "And when the real monsters come, the Void Hunters?" Admiral Chen smiled grimly. "Then they will learn what humans are really capable of. The Kethvar were just practice." Far out in the darkness between galaxies, something stirred. Ancient predators that had devoured 1,000 realities began to notice this strange new universe. A place where prey had learned to fight back, where the weak had found protectors who were stronger and more violent than anything the darkness had ever faced. The Void Hunters began to plan their invasion, but for the first time in their eternal existence, they also began to feel something they had never experienced before. They began to feel afraid,